Welcome into the MVR Wednesday night. The Devil's Hour is what I like to call it. Coach Armeni, Week 12. It's crazy. I mean, me and Billy, it feels like every week we talk about, we were just at the fair. We're in Week 12. What's it like being in the playoffs? You guys won of it. You were victorious last weekend. Talk to me about being in Week 12.
Well, they say it's the fastest 10 weeks of the year, and it sure flies by. It's exciting. It's nice to get playoff football back in the community, and everybody seems excited. The atmosphere last week was really, everybody was really juiced up. The kids were excited, and I think that will probably top that this week, Every week we get into the playoffs, gets a little sweeter, the air gets a little rarer, the kids get a little bit more excited. So got to practice in the snow today.
That's
So
awesome.
it's one of those things that you kind of one of your goals at the beginning of the year. So it was excited. We had a sharp day, so we're looking forward to it.
Last weekend, huge win over Lisbon in Week 11. Talk to me about that game. You guys had a lot of ups. You guys had some downs, but you guys put 54 points up in a Week 11 playoff game.
Yeah, offensively we didn't have much trouble. Our line controlled the tempo of the game there. We were able to open up some good running lanes. We were able to get a couple of our skill guys going, running the football, and that was good. I think defensively we struggled a little bit. I think they had a nice game plan going into it. They made some nice plays, and you got to tip your cap to them, early on in the game. And we made some adjustments, and were able to kind of, rally to the football a little better, clog up some of those throwing lanes, try to – keep that quarterback in the pocket a little bit more, get some turnovers. I think the big play in that game was, we called timeout. They were trying to run the clock out in the first half, in a game that was, pretty competitive early on. We thought maybe we could get after the punt, or at least get a short field and try to punch one in. We always tell our kids we try to win the last 4 minutes of the first half and try to win the first 4 minutes of the second half, because I think the game is decided in that 8-minute stretch. And we were able to do that. You blocked so we scored, you block a punt, score, and then come out after halftime and score. And it was, kind of how we got rolling.
Talk about your running backs. We can't skip over the fact of a kid named Nathan Hemberger. Scored 6 touchdowns rushing and then blocked a punt and scored a touchdown with that block punt. Talk to me about Nate Hemberger and what he contributed to the game last Friday night.
Well, he leads our league in tackling. He set the school record in tackles this season, so he's quite a football player. We've had some depth offensively where we were able to kind of, platoon guys a little bit more. But as the season goes on, we've needed some guys to step up, and he's one of those guys where we know he's capable. We know his talent level. And we asked him to kind of step into a role last week and put us on his back, and he was able to do that. And I hope he's able to do that this week as well.
3 major records were broken Friday night. Hemberger scored 7 touchdowns, most touchdowns scored in a game. Also Hemberger, most touchdowns in a season and school record for Western Reserve. And then Air Henning is what I like to call him. 1,000 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. How important is it to get those guys moving, like getting them in the game, the stats they produce? How important is that to have a successful football team is going in deep in the playoffs?
Well, when those accomplishments rack up, it means you're having some success. But I think our guys will be the first ones to tell you, too, that they couldn't do without their teammates. Those things, personal accomplishments, wins and records and all those things are really nice to reflect on after the season. But I think right now everybody's still focused on, playing some football, winning some more games.
Those records wouldn't have been broken if it weren't for those guys up front. Sprinkle some sugar on your own line here. Give them the shout out. Talk to me a little bit about your offensive line because they've just been dominant recently.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, we struggled a little bit last year. First year we had a lot of obstacles to overcome, and I thought I could do a better job coaching those guys up. So I got a little bit more involved with the offensive line. We brought in Coach Derek Accord, who played at Boardman. We basically had the same line coach. I played at Cheney for Coach Mike Popio. Derek played at Boardman for Coach Mike Popio, so we're kind of from the same tree. And I think that's been really, really important for us, communicating and teaching our kids. Those linemen that we brought back, got after in the weight room. We've had some young kids step up. Our left tackle, Isaac Burnett, who's first team All-League. as a junior.
Wow.
Dylan Crute, who plays left guard, started as a freshman. He's only a sophomore. So some of those guys still have some football, some more football to be played. But I think we really rally behind those three seniors: Nathan Facillo, Fisher Himes, and Andrew Hendricks. At right tackle, and those guys just do a great job. They're strong, they're determined. They're very coachable. They pick up the adjustments that we make. Sometimes in game, they pick it up pretty quickly. I did something that I never thought I'd do. Those guys, because they've played fairly well this year, talked me into buying pancake stickers. So if you look at their helmets, they got pancakes with syrup on their helmets. Again, throwing them some sugar.
Yeah.
Appreciating those guys finishing blocks. Because I've had some teams where you didn't have too many of those. But the good teams do.
Yeah.
They got some linemen that finish blocks. And that's what we want to encourage. We want to celebrate that. We want the other team to know that our guys get after it too.
It's like the Ohio State Chase Young. You always have so many stickers for how many sacks. Yeah, that's awesome. I love to hear that. Backtrack a little bit. Go back into the regular season. Probably your guys' biggest win of the season was Louisville. You guys beat them 21-14. Was your closest game. You guys seeing them in Week 12. Talk to me what you guys saw back in the regular season from Louisville.
That was a battle. They're a very good football team. I think they might have won 11-1 last year with playoffs included. And right now 10-1. 21-2. You don't do that by accident. So they got some coaches that do a great job of getting their kids prepared. And they got some guys. They got some really good athletes. They got some big, strong linemen. So they have a little bit of everything over there. I think our game plan last time, was to try to slow the game down, try to control the tempo on offense. We had a 12-play drive, we had a 15-play drive, and we were able to do that, and our kids executed really well, which ultimately gave us a chance to win the game. And that's what we're going to need to do again. We don't want to get in a shootout with them. We don't want it to make that game a track meet. We want to make it a battle. And the more we make it a battle, the better our chances are.
What's been like the memo, like the whole week? You guys were in the playoffs, I guess, last week too. It's a little bit different, when you get in the playoffs because you lose, your season's over. Yeah. How are your players been reacting to you guys being in the playoffs?
We try to tell our guys, we have a big group of seniors, a talented group of seniors, and we tell them, this is all about how bad you want to keep playing. Teams that want to keep their season going, teams that aren't complacent, are the ones that keep going and they keep winning. So that's what we keep telling them. You got to want to fight. You got to want to fight and take it from teams at this time of year. Because no one's giving you anything. We want to kind of develop that killer instinct in them. And I think they're getting to that point where they feel comfortable enough in their ability and their prep. Because we've had some success against good football teams where I think we can accomplish those things.
Louisville, you guys play them Friday. Me personally, I'm not too familiar with Louisville. How do you expect them to pass heavy or they run heavy? What's the lowdown on Louisville?
I think on offense they want to spread you out. They get in a lot of empty. They get in a lot of trips. Little 2x2, and they formation it up. There, several different formations. But I think their bread and butter is trying to run a little option with the Bologna quarterback, who's a very fast and talented athlete. And he can also throw a deep ball. So I think they want to get him outside the pocket. They want to run him, and they want to spread you thin and try to hit a seam on you. They have a bunch of capable, athletic receivers. I think who they rally around, who I think is probably their best player, is Matt Lucido, number 7, who plays wide receiver and outside linebacker for them. He's also their kicker. And I think, honestly, that's the thing that drives them. I mean, we've met about it every day. We kick seems like 50 onside kicks today in practice because they do that as well. And that's tough to prepare for. That's not something that every team does themselves. So getting quality reps on that has been really important. Getting the scheme locked out for that's been important. So, and I think on defense, they're two best players on defense. They play little man. They got some athletes over there, but Vincent Perry, who is number 68, is a 2A lineman for them. Does a great job. He's one of the more physical kids we've played against all season long. He's certainly their big playmaker, in the box. And then they had number 20, Santino. Rivera, I think is his last name. He's a really talented inside linebacker, tough-nosed kid, gets the football a lot. So I think those are their two best players on defense.
They have some good inside linebackers. You guys also have some really good inside linebackers. I'll be interviewing a few of them tonight, Hemberger and Joey Sigworth. What can we expect to see or hear from Joey Sigworth later on tonight?
You know, those guys had great games against Louisville last time, you know, able to kind of slow down and stop the run. You know, and that's what we need. Those two guys are as physical and, you know, are willing to throw their body on the grenade, as the saying goes, you know, as I've ever had. You know, and the fact that we have two of them and they play side by side really helps our defense. You know, those are guys that don't add up the cost. They're willing to throw their body in the hole, and that's a prototypical inside linebacker, what those guys do.
So you guys shared the MVAC title. I mean, it's tough as a competitor. I mean, I want everything. You know what I mean? I want to win it all. I don't want to share anything. This game, you guys beat Louisville. Does that give you guys the little bragging rights over Louisville to say, hey, beat you guys twice now? Like, I think we got that title a little bit more.
You know, of course, you know, and that's how leagues are. And this league has been a gauntlet, you know, the entire year. There's 6 of the 7 teams made the playoffs. I think 5 of those 6 teams hosted a playoff game. So, I mean, it's been a gauntlet all year long. You know, I don't look at it in a realm of like, oh, this is for the league title per se. I mean, we want to win because it's a playoff game. Yeah. You know, I think that's the most important part. You know, we want to survive and advance. And I think that's what's on the line.
Coach, thank you so much. There's a big WWE saying that we've been saying a lot here on Power Hour. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Friday night, everybody, Western Reserve at Berlin Center, Western Reserve High School. Louisville comes into town to play the Western Reserve Blue Devils. You can catch it here on YSN, exclusively on YSN, with a video for $9.99. Coach, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Go enjoy some food.